has been very highly requested on my channel. It is my top 5 favorite cushions. Now, for this video, I'm actually going to be doing my top 5 favorite affordable cushions, and then I'm going to have a part 2 and do my top 5 favorite luxury cushions. I did this because it was just way too hard for me to narrow it down. I still have some luxury cushions I want to test out and review for you guys, and I feel like I narrowed down a good top 5 for those of you guys who might be on a budget or who are just looking at some of the more affordable brands. So let's get started. So of course, to start off, I'll give you guys kind of my skin background. I am usually about an NC 20 to 25 in MAC. However, it is summertime. I'm getting a little bit darker because it is hard to avoid the sun where I live, just to be frankly honest. So I'm probably closer to like an NC 30 at the moment, but when I tried the foundations on, they honestly didn't actually look that bad on my skin. However, my lighting tends to emphasize the difference color between my face and my body because my face is closest to the light, so it casts a little bit of a shadow on my body. Probably gonna be moving in the next couple months, so this setup will change. Hopefully I'll get better lighting and all that kind of good stuff. I'm getting way too into this, but just so y'all know. Also, I do have a dry skin type, and yeah. Just going to jump into this. I'm going to start off from cheapest to most expensive. So coming in at the most affordable cushion is the Mesha Magic Cushion. Now I have this in the shade number 23. I have the cushion with brown from Line on it. I did a full review, which I'll put here if you guys want to check out more information on the cushion, because I'm just going to run over these very quickly so I can be concise with you guys. Now this cushion in particular has more of a higher coverage than a lot of the other cushions that I'm going to be showing you guys today. It does run a little bit on the cool side, so it doesn't have a warm tone whatsoever. The finish of this is on the dewy natural side, and I would definitely say that this is a pretty good cushion for those of you guys who have oily skin who want to experiment with that kind of dewy look but don't want to become a grease ball at the end of the day. This does have a scent, although the scent is not terribly heavy compared to some of the other cushions that I'm going to be sharing with you guys today. Actually, all the cushions are scented. This one's probably the least scented out of all of them. This costs about $12 US, lasts about 5 to 6 hours. Of course, if you set it with powder and use a primer, it'll last longer, as would anything. And this comes in 3 different shades. Now, the reason that I like this is because I'm very happy with the coverage of this. I feel like it covers up any dark circles or acne marks or anything like that that I have going on at the time. Sometimes I do need a little extra concealer, however this is sufficient on its own for the most part. I love the finish of this. It's very natural and it gives kind of like a healthy glow, and this lasts for a fair amount of time, as you can see in the review that I did. Now moving on to one of the first cushions. I think this is actually the first cushion I'd ever tried. It is the Etude House Precious Mineral Any Cushion. Now I use the shade number 3 or W24. This coverage is not the highest. It comes in like a light to medium coverage. You definitely need a concealer if you have any marks going on your skin or bad dark under eye circles. It has a slight dew, although it does blend very quickly. I find that it does have a bit of that brightening property to it as well. And I feel like oily skin people would definitely upset this. Dry skin people like me are perfectly fine with just applying the cushion and heading out the door. This does have a scent like all Etude House makeup. It has kind of like that Etude House makeup smell. It's kind of hard to explain unless you've smelled Etude House makeup. This runs about $20, lasts for about 4 to 5 hours. You do have to kind of touch this up throughout the day, or definitely use a primer and a powder with this. And this comes in 4 different shades. I really like this because, like I said, it looks really natural on my skin. It feels really light. It doesn't feel like I'm wearing a heavy amount of makeup on my skin. And I just love this in general. This has actually turned into one of my favorite cushions. At first when I tried this, I was like, oh my gosh, all cushions are amazing, because this kind of set the standard. And then as I was trying more out, because trust me, I've tried a ton of cushions, I was kind of like, oh wait, I just got really lucky trying this one first. Now, the next one that I'm going to be talking about is actually from Innisfree. Now, the one that I'm showing you here is the Ampoule Moisture Cushion. I wear the shade number 23, and yeah. Now, this has a low to medium coverage, and as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, this is actually one of the dewy cushions that I like to use. Like I said, I don't really care for the super dewy look, so that fact that I like this is actually saying quite a lot. I think this would be a really good cushion for the winter time. Or like I said, for those of us who have dry skin, if you have oily skin and want to try this, you'll definitely need a powder. This does have a scent. Again, it's like the Etude House cushion. Has that like Innisfree herbal type of smell to it. Personally, I don't really mind when products have a scent to them, but I know that some of that matters to you guys. This is about $24, and out of all the cushions, this is kind of a low lasting one. I'd say this lasts about 3 to 4 hours before you have to touch it up, and that's just kind of the nature of the beast. When it comes to face makeup, sometimes I just really like the way this looks, and this isn't too terrible to touch up throughout the day. It's pretty good with touch-ups. There are 3 shades of this available at Innisfree. However, I do have to say Innisfree cushions run really light. I have no idea why. I feel like this is always 2 or 3 shades too light for me. I'd always have to use like a bronzer or something to make this match my skin tone, even though it is shade 23, which is the darkest. Even when I'm about an NC 22 or 25, this is just even still looks a little bit too light. So keep that in mind. If you have skin that's really darker than mine, you probably won't be able to use Innisfree cushions. Now this is kind of a runner-up, and I know I'm doing my top 5 favorite cushions, but I thought I'd throw this in here for you guys who have oily skin. I actually really do like the Innisfree Longwear cushion. I also have a full review of this. Again, I wear it shade 23, and it's basically a lot of the same things, although this is the matte version of this, or more the semi-matte version. So it's not fully matte, but it definitely has a more flat appearance to it, and it also lasts a lot longer than the Ampoule Moisture. So it kind of just depends on your personal preference here. I'm just throwing this in here as a runner-up because I really do like both cushions. This I'd recommend definitely for oily skin, and I'd recommend the one that I just talked about for dry skin people. Getting into the more expensive. Now these are, for some people, possibly not really in the affordable, cheap range, but to me, I feel like these are more affordable considering some of the cushions in higher end brands like Hera or xoxo, or just like, you know, bigger brands like that, Amore Pacific, run upwards of like $60, $70, $80. So that to me, and those are considered more luxury brands. These, in my head, I don't consider them luxury brands, so this is why I'm throwing these both in here. So coming in at the 4th most expensive is the Laneige. This is the Pore Control Cushion. Now this is about a medium coverage. I'd say that the coverage of this is actually really nice. It's not super heavy. Again, it doesn't feel really heavy on the skin, but it does a really good job of covering any imperfections that you might have. I also find that because this is designed for pore control, this is going to be a really good option for those of you guys who have oily skin. Now, I would say that this is kind of a misleading name because I don't say that this actually like does anything for the pores or controls them or anything like that. I think if you have an issue with pores, you're best off using a good primer and then throwing this guy on top. Primers are kind of where it's at when it comes to having big pores that are visible, but I definitely say that this is good for oily skin people. Usually oily skin people have larger pores, so I could see where that comes into play with the name of this product, but it is definitely good for controlling oil and for oily skin people. However, as far as the visibility of the pores, I'd say you're just best off using a primer, if that makes any sense. Again, this has a scent, although this one is pretty light as well. It doesn't really bother me in any way, shape, or form. This is about a mid-range price, coming in at $34, so I know that seems really expensive for some of you guys who are more on a budget, but for cushion foundations, this really is about mid-range. This is a pretty long-lasting BB cushion. I find that this lasts for about 6 to 7 hours and doesn't need any touch-ups in between. Now, the reason that I really like this as well is because it is now available at Target and other retailers, so this is a very accessible cushion, and this comes in a lot more shades than a lot of other cushions. At Target, I believe they have 6 different shades, and yeah, I wear shade 23C if you're curious. By the way, this is also the cushion that has the textured cushion on the inside, which is supposed to distribute the BB cream on the puff more evenly. And so I want to do a full review of this for you guys, so definitely leave it in the comment section down below if you guys want to see a full review. I've actually pretty much done full reviews on all of these cushions, so that one's kind of like the only one I haven't yet. But yeah, so let me know in the comment section down below. coming in with our most expensive cushion, which is the 3CE Fitting Cushion Foundation. Now again, I did a full review of this. This is another cushion that I would say has a higher coverage than a lot of cushions in general. The finish of this is really nice. It's about a semi-matte, so it doesn't have that super dewy look to it, but it also doesn't have that like flat mannequin look to it. I'd also say this is a little bit yellow based, which is nice considering since a lot of the cushions that I'm showing you guys do have that brightening effect, they tend to run cool tone. So this is one that has a little bit of a yellow tone to it. You can see it really clearly in the review that I did of this. Now because the finish is a little bit more on the natural side and not so oily, I would say that this is good for those of you guys who have oily skin. So if you're looking for maybe a cushion foundation that has a little bit higher coverage and that is going to help keep your oil at bay, I would definitely recommend the 3CE Fitting Cushion. This does have a scent to it. This one has a pretty strong fragrance to it. It smells a bit like powder, and this is also the most expensive, coming in at $41, about $41. I would say that this actually lasts for quite a long time. It lasts about 6 to 7 hours on my skin, and unfortunately this only comes in 2 shades. So if you, like I said with some of these other cushions, if you're really much darker than me, you might have a harder time trying any of these cushions besides the Laneige one, which offers the most colors and shades. Alright guys, so that is my rundown of my top 5, kind of 6 favorite Korean cushion foundations. The reason that I wanted to kind of run through these pretty quickly and concisely is because I have, like I mentioned throughout this video, full reviews on most of these besides the Laneige one, which I'm planning on doing anyways, and the Innisfree Ampoule Cushion Foundation. I have one filmed, I just have to edit it. So yes, you guys will be seeing those hopefully coming up in the next couple weeks or following months, hopefully pretty soon. And like I said, there will be a part 2 with the luxury high-end cushion foundations, my favorite top 5. I've got a couple more that I want to try out. So that's kind of why I wanted to film this one first. But I hope this is helpful if you guys are looking into some cushion foundations. And as always, I hope you guys are happy and healthy. And don't forget to rate, comment, subscribe, share with your friends and family. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys!